Crystal Cave by Bobby Sawyer, Chapter 23. The room had changed while I slept. Though it was pitch black, though I couldn't see my fingers in front of my face, I knew things had moved. The doorway was gone, the room had changed. Jimmy was still where I had left him, though all stiff now. I tore off a piece of his flannel shirt with my teeth and wrapped it fresh around my fingers. The bleeding had stopped, but I tied it tight anyway. The one time in my life being a southpaw did me any favors. When I reached out again, I snagged the corner of Jimmy's pants and felt something sticking out of his back pocket. It was a flashlight, not his police standard issue, but a little pen light, the kind you see in the back of the Sears catalog. My fingers were shaking so bad it took me 3 tries to turn it on. Jimmy was curled up backwards in an O, his legs all tangled, arms almost touching his toes. He looked like the rubber man I saw once when Pa took me to the circus. The rubber man had bent all over, twisted his arms backwards, rolled up in a ball, and put his feet behind his head. Scared me half to death, and Pa yelled at me later for making a scene. I bet even the rubber man couldn't bend his back as far as Jimmy had, though. His mouth was open a bit, and something was wrong with it. I had to peer in close with the flashlight before I figured it out. His teeth were missing. Dear Josie, I sent the documents to Washington like you wanted. Today they sent me a telegram confirming your suspicions. James Lowry and Harris Bullard both served in the same Navy unit in the South Pacific. Lowry is listed as MIA and presumed dead. I talked on the phone with an inspector in Chicago about the woman you told me about, Rosanna Turner. He wouldn't send me the file, but I told him it was research for a book and he gave me some details. The woman was apparently strangled by a burglar, but the weird thing is that nothing of value was stolen, just a box of old documents by the looks of it. The case went cold in 1946 and has been sitting in the unsolved homicides file ever since. Josie, I don't know who these people are, what you're up to with this research all of a sudden, but this is getting scary. If you're in trouble, you give me the word and I'll make sure Bullard never bothers you again. Bobby. April 7th, 1946. Dear Harris, I understand. I understand why you have not responded to my previous letters, why you have made every effort to avoid me, why you never wrote me during the war. I didn't want to admit it, but I'm tired of playing the fool. You found someone else. You don't love me anymore. I understand. I'm not even angry with you about it. You are a vile man. I thought you had died in the war, and yet here you are, living without us in Chicago, pretending to be out when I knock on your door. I wanted to look into your eyes and ask you for the truth, but I don't need to any longer. You can rot in that little apartment of yours for all I care. What I do not understand is how you could do this to your own child. Our child. The child you have never even met. The child I have raised for the last 5 years while you were doing God knows what in the Philippines. The child who has a father that came back from the war and won't even visit, won't even call. That you no longer want me, I understand. But for what you have done to our little one, I will never forgive you. Rosanna Turner.
Hypothermia. Kills in a matter of hours and leaves no mark. Bullard died in his freezer. Or was it James Lowry? Now that I've gathered all the pieces, I just need to put them together. A scientist with a past, a dead colleague, an ex-wife down on her luck, a girl with no father and a boy with no future, a snow woman, a full moon. Now I just need to get out of here alive.
Search for local reporter ends. Today, police halted their search for Patricia Gable, who is presumed dead. Gable, a young reporter from Colby, vanished without a trace 2 weeks ago. Police suspect foul play, but so far no suspects have been named.
I barely managed to escape as the house burned to the ground. All of Bullard's research, his equipment, and his secrets burned with it. The bodies of Josie Herrera and Graham Wellington were recovered from the debris. My story of blackmail, murder, and my narrow escape from a deranged killer made headlines. In January, I start at the Chicago Tribune. I never told them about James Lowry or that Josie's last name is really Turner. Those secrets are mine alone. I barely managed to pull Josie from the house as it burned to the ground. All of Bullard's research, his equipment, and his secrets burned with it. Josie Herrera was arrested for the murders of Harris Bullard and Graham Wellington. My story of blackmail, murder, and my narrow escape from a deranged killer made headlines. In January, I start at the Chicago Tribune. I never told them about James Lowry or that Josie's last name is really Turner. Those secrets are mine alone.